today. I'm going to give it a second. I am on multiple platforms today, so we're going to see how this goes. What's up, Michael J? How are you? What's up, our crazy Bless? So I am waiting to see if she gets connected, and then we're going to go from here because I do have someone that I'm going to interview today, which I'm excited about that. Hey, Sandy, what's up? Mary Shaw. Hey, Lisa, how is everyone? So I'm waiting for Geraldine to join. When she does, you guys, I'm gonna TikTok. I'm gonna kind of turn you around so you'll be able to see both of us. But I'm doing her on this particular platform because I want to be able to take it and get it everywhere and be able to get her on the video and use it for the podcast as well. So that's it. Hey, what's up? Good morning, Witch. How are you? Hey, Brandy. What's up, Dad Jokes? What's up, Lanny for Humanity? Good to see you guys. I'm going to give it a second. Folks, if you are joining me from Facebook, YouTube, or Substack, please say hi in the comments because I cannot see you until you speak to me. I can see when people are joining on TikTok, but I cannot see when you guys join. So please make sure that you say hello. What's up, Blue Honey Pot? Hello, Mom with Goals. Hey, Tech Lady. What's up, Conchita? Good to see you guys rolling in here. Hey, Amy. How is everyone? Appreciate you guys doing your heart me's. Thank you guys for liking. Thank you all for sharing. Thank you all for adding to your story and for reposting and doing all the things that help. So I'm very, very grateful for all of those things. I'm going to be talking about quite a bit today. I do have a hard stop. Today is going to be 3 hours. What's up, Tam Bam? Blue Nevada, hey, how are you? What's up, Catsmandu? Today is a hard stop at 2 o'clock because I have to get the girls off the bus today. That is a must. What's up, Cat Whisperer? Good to see you. Hey, Win Dixie. So let me see if she's having trouble with the link. Let me know if you have trouble. All right. What's up, Lynn? How are you? What's up, Sin? Good to see you. Hello, Sunflower Fish. Good to see you as well. Hey, Cam. I don't think I said hi to Cam yet. It's good to see you as well. I am checking to see. Hello, RL. Good to see you. So I'm waiting to see if she has any trouble getting into the live. I'm hoping that she does not and that things go very smoothly. What's up, Tara? Hey, Humanity Watch. Good to see you. What's up, Rachel? Good to see you as well. Folks, the reason why I have the banner up that I have up is because it pretty much summarizes all the things that I'm going to be talking about today. And that does include some information with regard to Palestine and Gaza, obviously. Appreciate the butterfly. Geraldine is going to be with us. Haha, she just joined. We love that. Okay, so listen, TikTokers. You guys, I'm going to bring you over here beside me, and I'm going to turn the camera around so that you can see both Geraldine and myself. But let me go ahead and get her added to the live. This makes me really happy. I'm so excited. Let me move this. What's up, Mookie? All right, so let me add her to the stream. There she is.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. My keffiyeh is still packed up in a bag somewhere. So like from where I just moved.
I completely understand. I had to go shopping just for keffiyehs after I was released. I had 3 beautiful keffiyehs that I went way out of my way to find. And I mean, we expected to lose everything that we had. So it wasn't a surprise, but definitely one of the first things I went shopping for again.
I love that. Yeah. Okay. So I am going to throw this down here so TikTok people can see you too. Hold on, guys.
Yeah. Is the lighting okay? I know the lighting is behind me, so I'm sorry about that.
No, everything is perfect. Everything is fine. I am so easy. Like, listen, we don't worry about getting everything amazing and perfect. We just worry about doing the work. That's it, right?
Awesome. Love it.
And then we'll just see how it goes from there. Yeah, I don't care.
Awesome. Cool.
It even looks like I'm a little delayed, but again, don't care. You guys are good. You guys can see everything. I love that you guys can see me. All right, perfect. Okay, so for those of you all who do not know and are not familiar with the amazing Geraldine Ramirez, I got to meet her. Yeah, girl, you're going to get some flowers today. So just get used to it. You'll be okay.
Okay.
Yeah, you're going to,
If
yeah.
I must.
Yeah, listen, they do it to me quite a bit as well. And I know that it's uncomfortable. So as someone who also does like you do, and I'm like, oh, because it doesn't feel like, yeah, it makes you kind of go, ugh. But the thing is that it is incredible what you've done. Even though we feel like everyone should do this or everyone should do their part, whatever their part may be, right?
Right.
You guys are good over here on TikTok. I'm checking on you guys. I just want to make sure that you all can see everything, and you guys are good to go. Okay, so all right, because you guys got her on TikTok 2 days ago, so I gave her to everyone else today to be able to see. Okay,
That's so cute.
Great. I'm glad you guys are good. Okay, so all right, so I know a little bit of the backstory, but there are other people who are going to be meeting you for the first time. So for those people who don't know who you are or how you came to find yourself on a boat headed to Gaza, knowing that you were going to be intercepted at sea, right? Everyone pretty much expected that to happen. And knowing that there was a strong likelihood you were going to end up in an Israeli prison. How did you get there?
Well, let's see. I was living in the United States. I ran a pet transport company. I actually started up a dog rescue, which turned into a dog sanctuary, which turned into transporting pets cross country. And great career. I had a lot of fun with that. It's kind of coming to a close right now. That part of my life is coming to a close right now because I'm in Tunisia. But because I had access to the entire country as part of my career, when October 7th started, or when October 7th happened, I used my ability to go all over the country for Palestine, essentially. Like most people, I didn't know the truth. Well, most people in the Western world, I didn't know the truth. I didn't really know what was going on, but I was not about to be misinformed about it. So I just did every little bit of research that I could. I read the history books. I watched the videos. I found everything that I could, and like most people, found the truth. And so when the marches started happening, when it was All Eyes on Gaza, when the G-side started, I was like, this is my time, like that saying that we all hear, what would you have done during the Holocaust? So that's what you're doing now. I was like, I am not about to be that person. I am not about to be on that other side of history,
Yes.
So I started transporting supplies from the encampments to encampments. When the university encampments popped up, I started visiting them and getting the lists of what everybody needed. I started delivering like food, sleeping bags, jackets when it was in cold areas, messages from one place to another, letting one encampment know what was happening at the other encampments and what was working, what was not working. So I started doing that. I started attending every protest that I could find, every march that I could find. I actually also founded, it's called the Aaron Bushnell Liberation Foundation, and it's a foundation to raise money to help any people in the military that want to exit the military on behalf of Gaza, like specifically to speak up for Gaza. We want to raise money for them so that they have some sort of financial backing. If they want to leave, they aren't afraid to leave,
I did not know that part. As a veteran, I hear that, and it's an amazing thing to do, because it's hard transitioning out of the military at any point in time, because life does change. And even though there are programs, there are always red tape programs, and there are always this and there's that, and you just don't know. But doing that so that our soldiers have an option is amazing as well. So I love that.
Yes, thank you. That got I don't want to say shut down. Like we're still working with that, but immediately our PayPals were shut down, bank accounts were shut down, websites were shut down. Like it was quick, man. They caught on. Like I filed the paperwork with the IRS to try to make this as legitimately as possible. But of course, I mean, it's
Yeah.
called the Aaron Bushnell Liberation Foundation. So real quickly, we were on somebody's list, still trying to work around like you said, the red tape,
Yeah.
but at least have the conversations with people in the military, like, hey, how do you feel about what's happening in Gaza? And would you do something about it if you could?
Yeah.
So at least have those conversations, and veterans like yourself are going to be the voice of this, and I hope to be able to work with veterans firsthand because you guys are the ones that will convince the active members, like, hey, you need to get out. So that's where we're going with that right now.
Mhm.
But yeah, so we did that. Me and a couple close comrades worked on that, and then I was hitting New York a lot. I was doing a lot of frontline actions in New York. We helped shut down an IOF soldier visit to the Kingsborough Community College. Like we just went out there and we picketed in front of the college and we started chanting and we threw up stats and at the time it was 20,000 children dead, and so we kept chanting that and bringing that out. And quickly the college was like, nope, we can't have this getting out. So they shut it down. The IOF soldier had to leave and he wasn't allowed onto the property. And then another time I did the those sales that they would have of illegal sales of Palestinian land that they would have in New York, trying to
Yeah.
sell off property that wasn't even theirs. I yeah, I hit one of those, and this was my first encounter with how violent Zionists really are. We shut it down, where there were so many of us, there were hundreds of us out there. Eventually, they shut down the sale because we were out there chanting and protesting and doing the thing. So they shut down the event, and there were a group of like maybe 20 to 30 Orthodox Jews there. And, they're on the front lines. They're fighting for Palestine every day.
Mhm.
And so they were leaving the event as I was arriving, and I watched them walk up to some police and tell them like, "Hey, we're parked over there. Can you guys escort us?" Because they were having to walk right through about 100 angry Zionists. So they asked the
Mhm.
police for, yeah, and I saw this happening. I was like, this isn't going to be good. So I followed them, and sure enough, as soon as they got up to, they sent like 2 cops to escort them.
Not enough.
And yeah, not even close. And so myself, Jacob Berger, and just a couple of other activists that were there and saw what was happening, we went with them and we were kind of circling, around them, putting up a little bit of a
There.
human barricade between us and the Zion, or them and the Zionists. And yeah, they were yelling threats. They were yelling death threats. There was like a maybe 11-year-old boy that told one of the Orthodox Jews, like, if I ever see you on the street by yourself, I'm going to kill you. And I remember looking at him and being like, oh my God, like, think about what you're saying. What are you saying? And like, he just kind of was taken aback by the fact that I even spoke to him and was like, think about what you're saying, and he just kind of stopped. But his dad quickly came up to him and like put his arm around his shoulder and started yelling threats again. And I mean, it was awful. It was awful. A couple of times I had to actually run over to some of the Zionists and push them off because they were actually physically starting to put their hands on the Orthodox Jews. And yeah, I mean, thankfully we got everyone to their car. There was one man left over. His name is Wolf, who he had shown up on the train. So he didn't have a spot in the cars to leave with everyone else. And when he was left behind, he was quickly being surrounded by Zionists. And I saw him and I ran up to the cop and I was like, hey, you guys need to get him out of there right now. And so they did. They pulled him out of like the crowd. He was completely surrounded by Zionists, and they pulled him out of the crowd and they brought him over. And he, Wolf was told the cop, "I don't have a ride. Like if I try to make it to the train station right now, I'm probably going to be attacked." And I heard him talking to him about it, and I was like, "I have a car. I have a van. Like I drove here. I can give you a ride." And so I did. And on the way to drop him off, we just talked about everything Zionism, and he was just so mind blown that I knew what he was trying to tell me. Like I knew about the history and the hijacking of their religion and how Zionism isn't really Judaism and all that. And so we talked about it, and he was just very excited to be talking to someone that actually knew what was going on with all of this. It seems like they're having to educate most people about this. So I'm still in contact with him. He's an incredible human being. He's always in Central Park with his sign, with his flag, just trying to educate people, getting attacked and harassed all the time, but he never stops. And once I had that encounter with Wolf, I felt like I was really in it, like once I put myself on that front line, we could have easily all been attacked by these Zionists, and the cops weren't going to do anything.
So
I want
to pause right here. No, you're great. So I want to pause right here for folks that are just joining and are hearing you speak, because you and I have learned lots of language in the last 2 years to be able to make distinctions, because we've learned history and all of that. So for those of y'all who are joining, and hi, Mama. My mom was watching.
Hi, Mom.
This is Geraldine. She was part of the Samud flotilla. And she was in fact intercepted at sea. She was taken to an Israeli prison. She is now in Tanzania, and I've met her through TikTok, and she's amazing. And I said, "Come do an interview, and then I can put you on the podcast as well." And she was like, "I'm down for anything." And then I kind of helped make some other connections for some interviews that.
Thank you.
I'm super excited about those. I really am. You might get. Through Dean's show, you might end up on some of the other progressive shows that are also on Sirius XM. So we'll just see how it happens.
Gotcha.
But so I want to make a distinction for people, because you hear Geraldine saying Zionists, and if you watch OAN or Fox News or right-leaning media, and even sometimes liberal-leaning media, you may be hearing that you may hear the word Jews instead of hearing Israel, instead of hearing Zionist. And this is an important distinction to make, because you cannot conflate the two. They are not the same thing. Matter of fact, the people that are Zionist the most aren't actually even Jewish. That's why you heard her talking about Orthodox Jews. It's completely different. Zionists are different. Zionists are people who believe that the Jewish people are entitled to that land. They believe in the Greater Israel Project. They believe that once they ethnically cleanse all the Palestinians and they're able to get rid of and take all of this land, they can rebuild this temple that needs to be built, and then Jesus can come back and unalive most of the Jews, and all of these different things. Okay.
It's so crazy to hear you explain it. Every time I hear this explained, I'm like, oh my God,
that's
crazy.
Really what Zionism is. And I want people to understand, when people are saying what Israel is participating in is a G-side, is ethnic cleansing, is whatever. This is not about I'm attacking Jewish people. No. This has nothing to do with your religion. It has nothing to do with being Jewish. Has nothing to do with what your religion is, your ancestry. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with being a Zionist, and a Zionist holds a particular belief set. And many Christians are Zionists. And one of the ways that this connects to the United States of America is we have a really strong Christian nationalist agenda in this country that also includes a large swath of Christian Zionists. And those two worlds are kind of intersecting. This is why you hear Ted Cruz say, when I joined Congress 13 years ago, my goal was to be the greatest defender of Israel in Congress. Like, what the absolute fuck is that, right? Like, how is this your agenda as a United States congressperson? Your agenda should be to be the greatest proponent for the United States of America, right? Not for Israel.
You would think.
Right, but that's literally what he said. And so it's important. So no, because no, Kat was saying, so let me just, she said, so the difference between Zionist and Jew is kind of like Christian and Christian fundamentalists. Nope. The difference between Zionist and Jewish is Jewish has nothing to do with being Zionist. The majority of Zionists are actually Christians.
And the majority of real Jews, like actual Jews, do not believe in the ethnic cleansing of Palestine. They actually are fighting for the return of 48, for Palestine 48, for the liberation of Palestine.
Yes. So being Jewish, oh, thanks, Albo. Being Jewish has nothing to do with being Zionist at all. So when we have this conversation, when we talk, it is important, instead of people saying Jewish or Jews, right? We should be saying Israel, Israeli government, the state of Israel, right? And we should be saying Zionists, because those are the actual individuals that we are talking about. So I just wanted to clarify that so that everybody knows.
That's an amazing thing to do. It, like you said, we know, and it still just slips my mind that there are people that aren't aware of the distinction there. And I mean, look up Zionism. You know, yeah, exactly. I wasn't either until 2 years ago. But definitely, if you're watching this, do your own research into what Zionism is. It's a political agenda. It's a political party. It has nothing to do with religion. It has nothing to do with any ethnicity, which even the Orthodox Jews will tell you, Judaism is not an ethnic group. It's a religion. Yes. And Zionism has nothing to do with Judaism, nothing. So definitely, you know, thank you for taking the time to explain that, promoting education. I think that's the most important thing that we have to do all day, every day is education.
Distinctions are so important to people, because there are people that, I was born in the South, right? Raised Southern Baptist. And so I was raised where the Jews, the Jews, Israel, they are the chosen people. And like, that's how it was raised. And so it's so amazing to, when you understand, oh, no. Being Jewish has nothing to do with being a Zionist. Zionism is a political criminal institution. Yes, Shanna. Yes, and yes. So, and how do we know that this is what is behind what's happening in Palestine? We know because if you go all the way back to 1917 at the Balfour Declaration, when the British decided that they were going to give land that they didn't even own at the time to the state of Israel, that declaration actually says that he's pleased to tell them that they are sympathetic to the agenda of the Jewish Zionist. Like it says it in the declaration that they agree with their what they're going to promote, which is Jewish Zionism, right? He said, we agree with Jewish, and he says, please go back and tell the Zionist Federation that we're good with this. So so we are clear, this was about Zionism from the beginning. Okay, so you've gone from saving dogs and animals all over the country to helping people on college campuses and places that are protesting, and protecting those people and advocating and giving them sleeping bags and all of that. And now all of a sudden you're on a boat.
Yes. It kind of felt like the next step, you know. Like I said, once I had encountered them in person and I was on that front line and I realized, like, oh, I could have actually been attacked right now, it just felt like this is where I'm supposed to be, because I can, because I'm not afraid of them, I guess, you know. Like I'm very well aware of the danger that I'm putting myself in by doing these actions. But it just feels like if I have the balls to do it, then I have to do it, you know, like it's just a moral obligation at that point. yeah, so I guess I just I was recording some of these things. I had a little bit of a TikTok. It wasn't a big following at all, but I had a little bit of a TikTok following when I was doing all these actions. And so I was recording a lot of it. I was documenting a lot of it. And so when the global march to Gaza happened, the Cairo marching to Rafah happened, I signed up for that. I was approved. I had bought my plane ticket. I had, a hotel lined up. I did the trainings, the whole 9 yards. And on the day of, I missed my flight.
Yep.
And I have literally just sent like I believe it was $425 to my family in Gaza so that they could eat for the next couple of days while I was gone. And for me to catch the next flight would have been $425. So
Wow.
I just didn't have it. I just couldn't make it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it broke my heart. I was actually went into a little bit of a depression after that. It was tough. Um, but I kept going forward. So I actually also signed up with the MYSA, which I'm going to butcher this. I always do the Masa Feriata Solidarity Alliance, for people to go out and do protective, what's it called? Just have your presence. Just be present when the settlers are attacking and harassing Palestinians. Yes. You just stay at people's homes and you document things and whatnot. Yes. So I have signed up for that, and also went through the training, did the interviews, did the whole thing, and then that's when the flotilla started accepting applications.
And you were like, "Ooh,
and yeah." Actually, honestly, I was hesitant, only because I have a family in Gaza, in North Gaza. If you guys know, if anyone knows who the Gaza Circus School is, they put on shows in North Gaza for children with like clowns and acrobats, with like Uncle Tito, Uncle Zizo, all these famous clowns in Gaza. They all work together with the Gaza Circus School. And the founder, his name is Ahmed Mushtaha, he had found me in January, and I saw what he did, and I was like, I'm there. I'm going to support you every day from now until the end. And so for 9 months leading up until I left for the flotilla, I had been supporting the Gaza Circus School and his actual personal family financially. So I was keeping them fed. His family of 12, I was keeping them fed, and I was keeping their shows going as much as possible.
yeah.
And so that's, it came down to, I knew that if I left for the flotilla, I wasn't going to be able to continue to provide that financial support for the Gaza Circus School and for this family. And I just didn't know where my place was, like that's a big decision to have to make. Either continue to support this family because I'm their main financial source, or go put my body on the line for Gaza. Like, how do you make that decision? It was, I actually went through that back and forth for about 2 weeks. I was really, really debating that, and it was really heavy on me. Of course, my family in Gaza, they were like, no, stay home. You don't need to do that. Do not put yourself in danger,
They didn't want
No, they didn't want me to sail. Yeah, they didn't want me to sail. They were like, stay home, stay home. And every time they told me stay home, I was like, I can't, I just can't. And I had a conversation with a friend who he's Palestinian living in the United States. He goes by Caveman on TikTok.
Yep.
And he's a badass. He's a bro. Like we host gifting panels together, and so we gift people in Gaza and have other people come and gift people in Gaza. And this is for a lot of people, the only source of income is through TikTok, so we started doing that together. And so I trust Caveman very much. And I called him one day and I was like, dude, I just cannot make this decision. I don't know. Do I stay home and continue to financially support them, or do I go try to sail to Gaza?
Yeah.
And his answer was stay home. And when he told me that, I was like, no, fuck that. I'm applying. And so I don't know why my instincts were just like, nope, that's not the right answer. And so I applied to the flotilla. And I think because I had documented my 2 years worth of frontline actions, and because I had been accepted by the Global March and the NYSA,
Yeah.
I had already made connections with people, and people already knew who I was because I was trying so hard, you know.
Yeah.
And so I met someone who ended up being part of not the vetting process, but they were just helping organize the flotilla.
Yeah.
So when she found out that I applied, I was like, oh my God, I applied, you know, like my name is in there. And she's like, I've got you. Don't worry about it. And so
To
she
give
got me
you
an
an
interview.
idea, for those of you guys who do not know, 30,000 people applied to be on these flotillas, right? And so the way that I look at all of this is like, it's exactly where you were meant to be, because what are the odds that you miss a flight? What are the odds that the exact amount you needed to catch the next flight you had just given to someone else? What are the odds that, you know, you had applied to this and then met the person, and out of 30,000 people, you get picked.
Yeah.
And so I just am one of those people that go, you are where you're supposed to be when you're supposed to be. And I love that.
I agree. Thank you. Yeah, it was almost a guilt trip because 30,000 people applied, and I look at myself and I'm like, I'm nobody, you know, like I take care of dogs. Like I don't, there are people who have been fighting for Palestine their entire lives.
Yes.
And there are people all over the world who would have loved to sail and be on that boat and put everything on the line for Gaza. And why I ended up on the boat, universal stuff, you know, like universe conspiring type of shit, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely made me feel like I was meant to be there, you know, just how everything lined up. So yeah, I went through the vetting process. I did an interview. I guess some people did multiple interviews, but I only did one interview, and I think I was accepted after that first interview. And so I kind of waited around for 2 weeks, kind of holding my breath to find out whether or not I was going to be accepted. And then I just got a text message in the group chat of everyone that was waiting to find out if they were being accepted. And they started sending messages to people saying like, hey, I'm sorry, you know, you weren't accepted. Sorry, you weren't accepted. And I was just sitting there waiting for my message that told me that I wasn't accepted. And just lo and behold, I got a message and they're like, hey, you're accepted. You're going to launch out of Tunisia. So you got to be in Tunisia in about a week.
I love that.
Yeah. I remember I cried my ass off when I found out, you know, it was so overwhelming.
Yeah. So I'm being asked, what kind of questions did you get in the interview process? Like, what were they asking you?
It was a lot of, they wanted to make sure I wasn't walking into this with that like white saviorism mentality. You know, we all know what that is. And if you're here, I hope you know what that is. It's toxic. You know, we don't want that on the flotilla. If you're going to sail, if you're going to do an action for Gaza, it has to be on behalf of Palestinian people. You are their voice, not you are the voice, you know,
Right.
and
yes.
So there's a lot of questions about that. They asked me, you know, have you ever fasted before? How will you react if you are limited in food? And I actually told them that, which is still true today, since I met my family in Gaza, Hala and Ahmed and Yasser, I went down to eating once a day, just out of solidarity because they can only eat once a day.
Once a day. Right.
So, you know, I just couldn't do it. I couldn't continue to eat like if there was nothing going on in the world. So I did once a day, and I've been doing that. It's been almost a year now. And so when I told them that, they're like, okay, cool. Like that's a good training. You know, that's a good start for if you have to go on hunger strike. You know, you're pretty much already there. So they asked me that. They asked how if I had any experience sailing, and the truth is, I had been on a cruise ship, but like the big cruise ships, you know, like where you don't even feel the water. It's so big cruise ship. For 2 weeks, I did that. But not at all even close to what I actually experienced. I hadn't ever sailed like that. I've been on boats. I love the water. I feel like a fish most of the time, you know, like I just love the sea. Funnily enough, I was actually on the first really rocky night out. Of 24 people on the boat, I was the only one that didn't get seasick. So everyone was like, "Wow, you were born to sail," you know. I was like, "I know, right?"
Yeah, you are a mermaid in
um,
another life.
yeah. They called me that a lot too.
I love that.
So yeah, definitely asked about my sailing experience. They asked about just my activism, how I got involved. They asked about if I'm able to be away from home for an extended period of time. When we were not recruited, but when we applied, we were told anywhere from like 3 to 4 weeks. It ended up being almost 2 months. You know, like it was long. It was a very long process.
Yeah.
So definitely that can be away from home for an extended period of time. If you needed to, could you financially support yourself? And at the time, I could. So that was a good one. And then just like a lot of moral questions. Also, like how do you react under pressure? How do you work with teams? And how are you in confined spaces with a lot of people? And I told them the truth is I meditate a lot. I have like a pretty consistent meditation practice, and I feel like that
Yes.
gave me exactly what I needed during the actual sale. I mean, 24 people on this
Yes.
boat. It's not a big boat,
Right. No, it
There
was
was
not.
conflict. Yeah. There was conflict. The tensions were high. There were some people that were just like, I'm ready to get off this boat. Like, get me the hell out of here. And I feel like my meditation practice was the one thing that kept me sane through that whole thing.
Yeah.
So that helped a lot. But really, yeah, it was mostly about that. Like they just wanted to make sure that I wasn't going in uh, ready to like trump myself up, and it's all about my life, and it's all about my following, and it's all about social media and all that. And I that's
I
that's
think
not
that
what I was there for.
I think that I want people to also understand this is that this isn't just, I think some people have this idea it was just like, oh, people just applied and they were allowed to join, and that's not the process. They want to
Mm.
make sure that you are the right type of person for this type of event. It was the same thing. So I went to Standing Rock back in
Oh,
2016, in December of 2016.
awesome.
And I'll never, so when I got there, some of you guys have heard this story before, but when I got there, we pulled in, it was late on a Saturday evening, and they had their own security, their own whatever. And we pull up after we go up Flag Road, where there's all the flags from all the tribes. And we pull
So
up
cool.
to Camp Ocheti Cowan camp. And Native American woman walks up to my window. I roll down the window and she says, are you returning or is this your first time? And I said, this is my first time. And she looked me square in my face and she said, welcome home, sister. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So
And
cool. Yeah.
it's so incredible. And then that evening, so the next morning, before you're allowed, you don't just go to the front lines. You don't just go work in the kitchen. You don't just go work in the medic tent. I did most of my volunteer work in the medical tent, in the medical
Mm,
facility. But no, you have to go through an orientation in the morning. And that
mm,
orientation is, and here's what I loved about their orientation is they had a white person, they had a brown girl, they had a Native American, they had an elder, and each of them talked about the things that would be relevant to the other person. So they had the white
mm,
person talk about, hey, no white savior complex here. No da da da
mm,
da here. No da 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 da. They had the brown person talk about, hey, if you're going to approach an elder, make sure that you have tobacco. Make sure that you have, whatever. And so, and they even pointed out. They said, "Do you now think about how you would have felt if you had heard that from this person instead?" So they had the people
right.
to share the information from their particular group. And so it was really amazing that that they did that. So they were very careful. And do you know what they said? And here's what they said. They said, "Listen, when this is over, you will leave here. This is our home. So however you
Mm,
behave out there, whatever you say, whatever you do, we are going to experience the repercussions when you've gone back to your world, right? And so I
Right.
think that it's important for people to really understand that, you know, as much as the things that we do are in solidarity, Palestinians are experiencing what's happening every day, and they oftentimes will get things taken out on them for what is being
Right.
done everywhere else. And so I just want people to understand that the flotilla isn't something that was just half-assed thrown together; that it was actually a vetting process and ensuring that the right type of people were part of the process. It's really important because they look for the smallest thing to be able to exploit.
Right.
And so you get one person that's part of it that acts crazy or says the wrong thing, all of a sudden that becomes the face of the movement. And so what I love is
Right.
that hasn't see you later, Al, that hasn't been the case for the flotilla, which I love. So I know a lot of people are wondering, this will be the rough part, and then we will get to the happy, because some of us already know about the happy, but we'll get to the happy in a minute. But I think a lot of people would like to hear about being taken into being basically kidnapped from the sea, right, and international water, where Israel doesn't have the authority to do that, and then being taken to an Israeli prison, and what that was like. I know that the day before the interception took place, you all had a physician that was on the boat with you that had diagnosed a medical condition. You had a medical emergency. And luckily, they were able to have a boat come up alongside you guys and hand you the medicine that you needed. And you were able to get 3 doses in, right?
Yes.
Which was great, because when you got into Israeli custody, when they kidnapped you, you were no longer given access to that medication.
No, no. They knew at the port as soon as we arrived. I told them I need that medication. I will die in your guys' custody if you do not give me that medication. And they just laughed it off. They put it in a little plastic baggie and they threw it on a pile of a bunch of other confiscated items. And I didn't see it again until Jordan on October 7th when we were released. And this was with I was in a cell with these amazing women from all around the world, mostly Italian, and so they were so rambunctious and amazing, and they were raising hell with every guard they saw, being like, "She is dying. You guys need to get her a medic. You guys need to get her a medication. You guys need to get her what she needs." And it wasn't just my cell. They communicated with cells around us as well, and there were other people in other cells that were also having medical emergencies and didn't have access to their medication. And as much hell as we raised, they did not care. I was lucky that those 3 doses kicked in after at the end of the second day. They
Mhm.
kicked in, and I was able to start regaining my strength and my composure. I was able to eat again. I was able to stand again. But had it not been for those 3 doses that I took before interception, this would be very different interview. It
Yeah,
was,
it would
yeah,
not be an interview.
yeah,
Yeah, there wouldn't be one. And I think it's important for people to hear, because there are people that, and I have Facebook friends who are acquaintances in real life. And I have to say acquaintances in real life, because we're not friends. And I have one that is in particular. He'll say that he's not a Zionist. However,
he behaves like a Zionist.
hey, if it walks like a
Gotcha.
if it walks like a Zionist, it looks like a Zionist, it's a Zionist. And
Yes, yes.
just saying, but he swears up and down that these things aren't happening to people that are being taken prisoner. Like, he literally, so I interviewed Dr. Mimi Syed, right? And
Oh, yeah.
yeah, and he watched that interview, and he literally said to me, he believes she's lying. And I'm like, so
interview interview all 500 participants and then say that, you know,
Right.
like
And
it's,
I'm like, so every
yeah,
doctor from every country that's gone to Gaza is lying, every person.
yeah,
And then he sends me the video of one Israeli hostage saying that the H organization beat him.
uh,
And I'm like, bro, what is he supposed to say when he's flanked by ID? Like, what is he gonna say?
right,
Like, just like it's just so crazy. It's just crazy to me. So talk to me.
yeah,
So you
yeah.
get medication. What else has transpired? Because I know that on your boat you had 19 Arab men that
Yes.
were on your boat with you. And there was a lot of concern about how those men were going to be treated once the interception took place. So, can you speak to that a little bit?
Yes, definitely. So one of them was Marwan and the other one was Wa'el. And they're actually both really famous activists. Marwan is a politician from Algeria, and he runs like a youth a program trying to create jobs for the youth of Algeria to keep them in the country, get them employed. And, you know, it's just very famous for what he does. And Wael Nawar, he's a badass. I am his biggest fan. Okay, he is from here in Tunisia. He actually helped start and lead the Arab Spring that started here in Tunisia. And so he's been on the front lines. He's a revolutionary. He is ready and willing to face off against Zionists any day of the week, you know. And so both of these men have pictures of them meeting politicians from the age group, because here it's perfectly normal to meet politicians from the age group because it's a political party. It's just like
Yes.
shaking hands with some Democrat, you know, like it's not a big deal. It's not
Yes.
weird. It's perfectly normal. But to anyone unaware of that, the Israeli propaganda machine started feeding how these guys are terrorists and they're directly connected to the age group, and so um, they were essentially laying the groundwork to be able to directly, violently attack us if they wanted to, and we knew that. You know, we
Right.
know that they're going to do this if they want to, especially specifically on my boat. Something that was carefully orchestrated on the other boats was how many people from what background or what ethnicity were mixed with who else, what kind of mixture of passports were on each boat. My boat was the only boat that had 19 Arabic men, that had a majority of Arab people, men specifically on it, period. And you know, to people, they would hear 19 Arabic men and they're like, "Oh my God, you know, like, were you safe? Were you scared?" And I was like, "Are you kidding me?" They would cook, they would clean, they wouldn't let me sleep outside in the cold. They would make coffee for me. Like, they didn't let me lift a freaking finger. Okay, the entire trip. They are amazing people. Okay, they and one thing that I like to reiterate all the time is that they have been fighting for Palestine since before I was born. You know,
Yeah.
like, this is very near and dear to their hearts. So it was an honor to sail with them, and I've actually seen the majority of them since interception. And you know, it was one of those things that when I was on the boat, I was like, are they just playing nice with me just because they're stuck on the boat with me? But even after the fact, like, when we all saw each other, it was just like hugs and tears. You know, it was, they were genuinely as happy to see me as I was to see them. You know, like, we became family.
Yeah.
And so it's just an amazing experience on that front. But definitely, we knew and I was aware, and we actually had a team meeting talking about the fact that because we had Marwan and Wael on board, we could be targeted. We could, of all the boats on the flotilla, ours was the only one that could legitimately be attacked.
Yeah.
And so, you know, they put it up to us. They're like, you know, this is what they're talking about in the committee. do you guys want us to get off the boat? And we're like, of course not. Like, you guys are a rock, you know, we're here for you. We're here with you. Of course not.
Right.
So we all continued sailing together, but also we knew there was a possibility that these two men specifically might end up in prison for extended periods of time. They could just easily say, you know, you're going to be here for 10 years, 20 years, whatever it is, you know, like Palestinian prisoners, they're not given 5 days in jail, they're given decades in jail.
Yeah, 100%.
And so, you know, we definitely knew that was a possibility. And I actually brought up the idea of like, hey, what if could we vote you guys off just because we don't want you to get arrested? You know, we don't want you to get arrested for 10, 15, 20 years because what you guys do, not everyone can do. You know, so is that a
Yes.
possibility? And they're like, no, absolutely not. Like that's not a possibility. You know? They don't care. They didn't care. They're in a conversation that I had with YN after the fact, which by the way, YN, the most humble and brilliant man, right? So he goes to like really important press conferences wearing like One Piece t-shirts or Pink Floyd t-shirts or Iron Maiden t-shirts, just like not serious at all, but a absolute famous public figurehead, you know? So I actually call him Luffy. If anyone is here and they watch One Piece and they know anime at all, you understand the reference. He's my Luffy. It's amazing. But yeah, definitely I told him, you know, like I just don't want you to get arrested. And he's like, there's a really rich political life in prison, is what he told me. He's like, if I did spend 10 years in prison, I'm still going to be working and organizing, and the fight is still going to be continuing even in prison. And they're very steadfast in that. They were not going to change their mind about that at all. So we continued. We were intercepted, and immediately interception was fun. Interception was fun. The soldiers were trying to get information about the boat, and of course the first thing they ask is who's the captain. And they were asking in Hebrew. Of course, nobody responded. They were asking in English. And even though there were about a couple of people on the boat that actually spoke English, we had all agreed as a group that when they did start asking who the captain was, we were all going to stay silent. So, of course, they started asking who the captain was, and nobody responded. They started offering us food and water, which what we saw from the last interception is just a piece of propaganda. It's just a propaganda moment. So of course we rejected their water and we rejected their food. After about 12 hours of them driving us around in circles on the ocean, just to exhaust us, they finally were like, okay, do you guys want your water? So they brought out our bottled water that had Arabic writing on it. And so that we accepted and that we passed around and we drank. And then they brought out our food that had Arabic writing on it. And so if it was, you know, photo opt, it could be shown that this wasn't from them. We didn't accept any food or water from them.
Right.
So that we started eating, and it was just like crackers, you know. So we were all very careful with that. Once we got to port, I think it was something like 14, maybe 16 hours later. It was a long night.
Let's see.
No, it might have been less, honestly. It might have been, I think it might have been like 12 hours. But it was a long, long night. And we got
I didn't realize that they kept you all at sea for 12 hours after interception.
Yeah, they intercepted us, and they had us all, they moved us individually one by one to this tiny, tiny little deck that definitely did not fit all of us. So they had us all like completely bunched up with our hands up the entire time at gunpoint. And we all just sat there, you know, and then they one by one started taking us into like the main area, the main living area of the boat, and searching all of us. Thankfully, they didn't strip search all of us. They did strip search us later during processing, but not on the boat itself. But they took us one by one. They took the women first. just had him go inside, do the whole feel us up thing. They did use women to physically search the women, and then the men searched the men. And they after they searched us, they had us go to the front of the boat and sit down there. And because I was one of the first people to be searched, I ended up at the very, very front of the boat. So during the 12 hours that we were being driven to the port, I was completely soaked, like just soaked all night for 12 hours straight. I was completely soaked until
Wow.
the next morning when Aziz, who was on the boat with me, he actually had me switch spots with him. So he started getting wet and I was able to finally start getting dry. And so that, we were all on our knees or on our butts for about 12 hours. Eventually, some of us just fell asleep and we were all just sleeping in every which way that we could. We were stacked on top of each other. We were still at gunpoint. They didn't let us talk to each other. We actually had a man on board who, our life jackets had these little solar lights
Yep.
that turn on, just
Yep.
for safety. And it was malfunctioning. So it kept flashing in the middle of the night. And this man was actually our captain, but we never let it be known that he was our captain. So his light kept turning on, and the Israeli soldier would just come up to him at gunpoint and be like, "Turn it off, turn it off, turn it off." And our captain is just like, "Bro, like I don't know what to do." He doesn't know how to communicate to him to tell him that it's doing it by itself. And he was able to turn it off, but it happened 3 times. That it just started blinking on its own. And on the 3rd time, the soldier just like came up to him, gunpoint. He's like, "This is the last time I'm telling you, turn it off. Don't let it turn it back on. Like, what are you doing? What are you trying to do?" Like just making it out like this is some sort of plot or ploy or, we're trying to plan something out.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so one of the other passengers, one of our other crew members just reached over and like snapped it off and threw it into the sea. And, thank God that was the safest thing that he could do at that point. But they were very much on edge. They were just, it almost feels like they're waiting for a reason, looking for an excuse to turn violent,
Yeah.
But I was very, very proud of our crew. Every single one of us was completely non-reactive. We all stayed poker face, as long as possible, and did not let anything that they did get to us. And they were incredible. All of us just really took care of each other during those 12 hours. And once we got to port, um, funnily enough, once we got to port, the soldiers started giving everyone back their backpacks, like their belongings. They kind of handed out everyone's backpacks. And I didn't get mine. So I stood up and I was one of the very last people getting off the boat. And I asked the soldier that was still there, I was like, "Can I go downstairs and get my backpack?" And he looks at me, he's like, "You speak English?" And I was like, "Yes." And he's like, "Where were you 10 hours ago when we were asking who speaks English on the boat?" And I just kind of like smirked at him and I was like, "So can I get my backpack?" And he's like, "No." He was so mad that I didn't respond when he was asking for who spoke English. And I thought it was great. So yeah, I watched them get each and every one of my crew members off the boat because I was one of the very last people to get off, and they immediately were harassing people, like grabbing people very violently, pushing people, putting them on their ground, pushing their heads down, like getting kicks in whenever they could. One of our crew members, Marwan, which is the famous politician, he was wearing like this black vest type thing, and they knew who he was immediately. And they, even though they put us all on our knees and we were all like completely non-reactive on our knees, just looking at the ground, they kept harassing him specifically and going up to him and like pushing his head down. His glasses were falling off. They were getting his vest and putting it over his head. And when he like stood up to get it off of his head again, they got mad and they went and they started picking on him again, and they did it again, and just like really trying to force him as down to the ground as possible, just humiliation, just to humiliate him.
Yeah.
But even me, like just violently grabbing me, like just bruises on our arms from how rough they were being. Like they couldn't just let us walk over; they have to rough us up on the way.
Yeah.
And so once we were all lined up on our knees, just looking at the ground, I heard them. They had found the paperwork that had our captain's name on it, and so they were asking, which is like Noordin is his name. So they started yelling Captain Noordin, and nobody was responding, and they kept yelling at Captain Noordin, Captain Noordin, and I realized that they thought I was the captain. I don't know why, but I don't know. I think it was because I was at the front of the boat and like I was just getting wet the entire time, and I was like watching everyone all night, and I was like making eye contact with people. I don't know. I don't know what it was, but they thought I was the captain, so they came up to me, and I was still just looking at the ground, and they were yelling at me, Captain Nuveen, and I wasn't responding. And it wasn't until they actually leaned down and looked at my passport and saw that it wasn't me that they like backed off. And I thought it was funny because I'm like, cool, now you have to go through all other 23 people to find who the captain is, like,
Right. Yeah.
But once they saw my passport, once they saw that it was an American passport, they immediately got me out of the line because they didn't want me to see how they were about to treat the rest of my crew. Just not like our government cares. They did not do anything for us through this entire process. But they just didn't want me to see it.
I say that part again because I don't think that people are aware that we have American citizens that are sitting in Israeli prison right now that haven't been that have no charges, that are just sitting in prison, that just whatever, for American citizens that have been intercepted on flotillas like Geraldine. The United States of America has done nothing to assist them, nothing to hold Israel accountable for what they may have done to our citizens. I just want you all to understand, in real life, in real time, the United States of America is not helping its citizens that are in illegal Israeli custody.
Yes.
Israeli prisons. So, for fuck's sake, I need to, all you America First people, understand that.
Please listen up. When we were released, we were driven to Jordan on a bus, and at the Jordanian crossing, that's where we were able to see all of our comrades and whatnot. And every other country sent their representatives with food, with water, with buses, with hotels, with phones, with money, clothes, everything that their people needed. They were treated like freaking royalty at that crossing. They took pictures, they shook hands, they like clapped, they cheered for them, they put them on their shoulders, like the whole 9 yards, right? Like treated them like freaking heroes. Our representatives from the embassy, no food, no water, no plane tickets, no hotel rooms, no money, no nothing. They did not care what was happening to us. We were taken care of by the organization itself, by Global Samud Flotilla itself. If it were not for Global Samud Flotilla ready to take care of us, some of us would still be at that crossing, have no idea where to go, what to do, nothing, no means of contacting our people. I'm sorry?
I said, that's absolutely crazy. Like, I'm just going, I really want people to understand, because so this is something that, and because I know you're still in, and you're still not home, right? You're still not here in the States. So I don't know if you know exactly what's been happening here, but believe it or not, even parts of the MAGA movement, the Charlie Kirk followers, right? All of those people, some of them are really starting to understand that Israel is being put ahead of America's needs, right? And this is a thing where even that group, even that faction of people are starting to get very angry at the way that American citizens are being put second to what Israel wants or what Israel is doing. And I really want people to understand that, you know, the greatest country in the world, with severe air quotes, right?
Severe.
Like, if I could do my hands so hard, the greatest country in the world did not take care of its people. We didn't,
and we weren't even that many.
Right.
We were not that many. We had people that, I mean, there were delegations from, I think, like Turkey, Tunisia, that were dozens and dozens of people. We were like 20, you know, and they just, nothing. Even while we were in prison, we did have a visit from our consulars. And we told them, we gave them a nice long list of all the violations. We never saw, a lot of us, including myself, the majority of us, including myself, never saw a lawyer even once. The Israeli justice system was taking us individually, or not individually, in groups of 3 into a room with a lady that was sitting behind a desk and a guard there, and they processed us. They took our statements and they're like, okay, you're guilty, you're not guilty. What statements do you want to make? And then they kicked us out. Like, it was pretty much just a clown show. Like, it was a farce. It was meant to look like they were processing us in some sort of way, but there was nothing legitimate about what they did. Yeah. We never saw a lawyer. We never saw a medic. We were never checked in on. They didn't feed us for like the first 2 days. They gave us literal loaves, like slices of bread for the first 2 days. And this is when I was like on the verge of freaking death and had no access to food. And I actually desperately needed food at that point in time. And all I could eat was like 2 slices of bread for the first 2 days.
2 slices of bread for the first.
No joke. Yes, no joke. And it wasn't until what was it? Oh, the Italian delegation. So I'm sure you guys saw, hopefully you guys saw that Italy was on fire. Like, when we were intercepted, Italy was like, no, this isn't. Yeah, they went hard. You know?
Israel lost their minds. It was, they did.
It was incredible. It was incredible.
Yeah.
The Italian delegation had their consulars there the next day after interception, trying to get their Italian citizens to sign a voluntary deportation paper that would mean they were able to get out immediately. But the majority of our delegates, the people that were in there with us, are badasses, and they're here for the right reasons. So they were like, no, we're not signing anything. Yep. Because to sign one of their papers means that you're acknowledging their legitimacy to have you sign anything, which, like, that's not true. That's not real. They're not even a real country. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So they all rejected it. I had to sign the voluntary deportation because it was part of the agreement that I made with my team, because I was going through a medical emergency. They're like, the only way you can stay on is if you sign the paperwork, because once you're there, you're not going to have access to what you need, to your medication, to a doctor. They're not going to care. So you have to sign this paper if you're going to continue until interception. So I did, but that paper said that Israel would deport you within 72 hours. I was there for 5 days. They didn't care anyways, even though I did sign the paper. Right. So again, completely illegitimate. Yeah. Once we were there, we had to fight hard for things like women's feminine products, toilet paper, food, a fork. Like, we had to, in unison, start pounding on doors, start chanting, start communicating with each other through cells, yelling and harassing the guards until they paid attention to us. Just anything that we could. We had to give them a hard time in order to get absolutely anything that we needed. Yeah, and this is something that I had talked about very recently. I think either on your live or Abu's live. That is a privilege. the fact that we were able to even raise our voices to try to get some of these basic necessities, these basic human rights, and we didn't get our asses beat because we're
Right.
citizens of the world, because we have different passports, because we're not Palestinian. If we were Palestinians and we were trying to do what we did, no, the majority of us wouldn't even be here anymore.
Yeah, so I do want to talk. So let me ask you this. So of the people that you know, the men, um, can you speak to their experience? Because we know that there are people that were beaten. I don't know if you saw, we have a Jewish American citizen who was born in LA who's in Paris now. And she came home with a black eye and bruises.
Oh, she did.
Oh my gosh. She was part of the second flotilla that came right after
Oh,
you.
yes.
And
Yes,
so,
yes.
yeah, so she's given an interview and I can't think of her name right now. If you guys remember, throw it in the chat. I played her video. She's given
Yeah.
2 interviews, but the problem is that she speaks Hebrew. So what was happening is when they were going through the little fake justice system and they were speaking
Yeah.
in Hebrew, she was telling, no, not Greta, not Greta. I know Greta. No, this is a physician.
I know who you're talking about. I forgot her name though.
She was on the conscience that was medics and media. She's medical. And but they were mad at her because she spoke Hebrew and she was translating for other people. Yeah, she's the American who's in Paris right now. But literally they hit her in the face. She had a black eye. She has bruises on her arms because that's how angry that they were that she knew Hebrew and she could then
Yeah.
tell people what they were saying. They were so angry. But that again is an American citizen walking around with a
Yeah.
black eye. So there are a lot of people who do not believe that they are beating people. Yeah, they hung her by the metal shackles.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
There are people that don't believe that those things are occurring. Of the people that you personally know, do you know any of them that were physically beaten or tortured?
Yes. At least 6 of the men that I sailed with were beaten. And when I saw them at the Jordanian crossing, I was able to physically see bruises on their bodies. They were like lifting their shirt, they were showing me everything. And the Israeli guards, very smart. They were leaving the bruises in parts that would be covered by their sweat.
Yes.
It wasn't on the face. But
Yeah.
yes, at least 6 men that I sailed with were beaten. Um, one of them, his name is Hassan. He's a badass, and don't get me wrong, the men were giving them hell. Okay, the men, they do not back down. They are here for the right reasons. They will fight to their last breath. They were giving them hell. They were like taking window panes off of the bathroom windows. They were chanting night and day and day and night. They were harassing the guards. They were giving a hard time because, come on, Palestine.
Yeah.
So, Ghassan, I don't remember exactly what he did to get him in there, but they beat him and they put him into solitary confinement. And so for 24 hours straight, all the men, all 300 and something men, were chanting, "Bring back the sun," for 24 hours until they finally brought back the sun. And the story that I heard is that they weren't feeding him. And so they were raising hell, like feed Ghassan. And so when the Israeli soldiers finally gave him some food, Ghassan took a bite of it, and then he said something along the lines of like, "This is dog food," and then he threw it back out. And so they gave him a hard time again after that, But no joke, the food was awful. Yes.
Yeah, they put the name. So Noah Abishag Schnall is who I was talking about. So it's in the comments. If you guys aren't familiar with who I'm talking about, her name is now in the comments. Please go watch the videos. She's done several of them. She did one literally when they were first coming back and they were talking to her. But then she also, when she got to the hotel room, she said, I just want to get it all out now. And so she recorded it and put it out. I just think it's important for people to know. And I want to be respectful of your time and all of that too. So so that you all know, I'm going to give you a little bit of a glimpse. So there is a really great silver lining to this story. Although I believe all of this is a silver lining because people are waking up to what's happening in Palestine, right? I think the fact that there were 30 boats, that's a silver lining. I think that really being on fire and the world waking up to what's happening in Palestine, that's the silver lining, right? But for Geraldine personally, she look, she's all blushing now. She's sorry, she turned so red. So she did find love along the way, and is now planning a wedding with Aziz, who was the mechanic on her boat as well. And so we got to hear about that briefly yesterday, and I'm going to be interviewing Aziz. He said he's going to be able to do something on the weekend. And so we're going to talk about that. But so you shared something with me that I think demonstrates the heart and the spirit of all of the people on the boat. And it was right before you all were about to be taken, and you didn't know if you were even going to see each other ever again. And you wanted to at least touch his hand. Share with people what transpired.
So we could see the port. We were getting very, very close to the port, and everyone on the boat knew that Aziz and I were in a relationship. And at the very beginning, their culture, Algerian culture specifically, prohibits like public display of affection. So when we first started dating, to me it's perfectly normal to kiss my boyfriend, but to them that's a big no-no. So they were kind of bitter about it in the beginning, but by the time that interception came, they saw that we were in an actual serious relationship, and so they were actually very supportive about it. And so when interception came, we were being pulled up to the port, and we were there, and like I just remember my heart was pounding, thinking like, oh my God, I really don't know if I'm going to see him again. Like, I don't know what's going to happen after this.
Right.
And we were close enough that we were looking at each other all the time, but we couldn't make motions to like sit close to each other, or definitely couldn't publicly hold hands or anything like that. So I just kind of like looked at him, and I kind of just like made a very small little motion with my hand, like reaching out for his. And he understood, and he was trying to figure out how to hold my hand. And so he kind of started moving around in a way where he would be able to reach my hand. And our crewmates noticed what we were doing. And so they kind of huddled together around us so that we were able to hold hands in the middle, and the Israeli soldiers couldn't see it. And from there, he kind of just sang Bella Ciao to me. And that was the very last thing that I heard from him before interception. But it was just a moment of like, it made me cry. It was a unifying moment. It was a moment of my crew came through for me. Even just one last tiny little moment that they could come through. They understood how important.
Everybody over here is having little like tear emojis. They're like, "Oh, that's so amazing," and all of that. So, Carrie said, "I'm crying. That is beautiful." Yeah, and so I want people to know that. So like I'm a big believer in like I just know my people when I see them, right? I know my people when I see them and when I talk to them. And the very first time I joined You're Alive, I think Abu Siraj and DJ K were there, and they had brought me up, and it was the very first time, and I was like, "She's my people." Like I just, I was like, I just know, and it's so crazy because, it's so crazy because we're so similar in terms of just being led and activism and what we do and how we show up. And so I said this to you yesterday, and I think I will say it to you every time that I see you, is that my heart is super grateful for who you are and the fact that you choose to show up in the world the way that you do, because it matters. And it is impactful. And even though it might seem like nothing, the truth is you don't have to be who you are. You could be anybody else, right? But you choose to be the person that you are every day. You chose to get on a boat. You chose to go across the country. You chose to do all of those things, and literally almost could have lost your life in the process, right? And it's different, because you're not in anybody's military. You know what I mean? And so I just want to say that I am super grateful for the way that you show up in the world and choosing to be the human being that you are.
You are so cute. Thank you.
She says that whenever she can't take a compliment, by the way. I've noticed that's her phrase. That is her phrase when she can't take a compliment. When she can't take her.
He's noticed that too. He pointed that out too. He's like, every time I call you beautiful or I say this and that, you always say you're so cute.
You're
and
so
I'm like,
cute.
Do that.
That's her question. So before we go, I want to ask people, do you have any questions that you want me to ask Geraldine? And while they think about that, to put them in the chat, what do you want people to know, whether it's about Palestine, about the flotilla, about, your experience with Israel? What do you want people to know?
I guess the first thing would be that we're sailing again. I'm already signed up to go again. This isn't going to stop. There's a land convoy happening, hopefully in December. If Israel has not opened the crossing by then, we'll be doing a land convoy with the Maghreb, Samud, and they're based here in Tunisia, and they're actually led by Marwan Wael, and some of the organizers that I personally sailed with. They've asked me to pretty much organize with them and to be here again. So we will be doing the land convoy in December, and then we'll be sailing again either March or April. So I definitely just want this to be known that this wasn't a one-time, just for show. This isn't something that we did to try to get attention. Like, this is ongoing, and it will be ongoing until Palestine is free. And that's, everyone on board feels that same way.
Yeah.
So definitely that. Definitely want it to be known that if you're in the United States, you have a big fight ahead of you. Big fight, and the most important fight. You are in the belly of the beast, and you have to be ready to make some sacrifices that you never thought you'd have to make, because fascism is here. Your government does not care about you, and what's happening in Palestine is going to be on your doorstep next, on all of our doorsteps next. So definitely just get in that mindset. Okay, no one is absolved of the responsibility that this fight brings.
Yeah,
definitely that.
I don't think that people quite understand where we are. They all did fly. They all did go at the same time. They said, why didn't the flotilla all go at the same time to the land?
To the land. Do you mean like because Italy took off and then Tunisia took off and then Greece took off?
I think that's what they're saying. Yeah.
So we had different launch dates just because geographically that's what made sense. But we did all meet up.
Yeah, they all
about the Greece area.
Yeah, so they were at different places geographically speaking. So they all ended up coming together, which is how they all were intercepted at the same damn time, pretty much, right? Like once interception started, interception didn't take long to get all of the boats because they were all together. But because of where they were located geographically, if they had launched at the same time, some people would have gotten there way ahead of other people, and then it wouldn't have been as effective. So you can follow Geraldine on TikTok. She's under Flotilla Scribe. That is her on TikTok. Somebody said, how do we follow her? So She is at Flotilla Scribe on TikTok, and anywhere else.
And Instagram, if you prefer Instagram. To be
Yeah.
honest, I haven't been posting as much. I do more lives than I post videos and pictures, just because when I do a live, I'm able to host gifting panels for the people of Gaza. So
Yeah, I do the
that's
same.
where my main focus is. Yeah, yeah, exactly. So that's
Yeah,
where I'm
I
at.
do the same. So I understand. Okay, I think we oh, okay, got you, Yari. I think everybody asked the questions that they wanted to ask. I'm gonna connect with you again on Signal. Yeah, I've got I just I feel like there's some more things we might be able to do. Um yeah, so I'm
I'm, like I said, any time that I can speak up about Palestine, I'm here for it. I definitely don't want this to be the last time that I talk about it because the flotilla is over. I'm here to organize. I'm here in this for the long haul. So,
yeah.
if anybody messages me, I try to respond. If anybody wants to collaborate, I do my best. If it's to speak up for Gaza, I'm 100%. I'm there, But thank you so much for hosting me, having me here, and
Thank you.
using your platform for working for Palestine. Like you said, like we're each other's people. I absolutely agree.
Yeah. So Linda, she was on camera. So I had TikTok turned around so you guys could see her. And then TikTok gave me a visibility restriction. So I took it off because I wanted people to be able to hear her. She was visible on TikTok with me 2 days ago. So TikTok got to see her then. This is also on Substack, on YouTube, and on Facebook. So you will be able to see her on video as well. And you'll be able to hear it again on the podcast. So Beth, she talked a little bit about the trainings that she underwent in preparation for things. So hopefully you guys will go back and rewatch. And they're all saying thank you, Geraldine, in the comments for coming.
Thank you, guys.
You're so cute. Watch.
No, I'm not gonna say no.
But yeah, so like I said before, I am grateful for you for who you are, and also for coming up. Oh, they want to know, when is the wedding?
That's a good question. So the organizer, Wa'el Nawar, the organizer of the Makra Sumud Flotilla, we had about 5 boats that weren't able to launch from Tunisia on time. So he has proposed that we outfit those boats and get them ready, and we launch them, and we get married on the boats, and we use all 5 boats to just roam around and get married on the water. And it would be between now and March if we are able to do that. Honestly, the only thing that's holding it up right now is me having to get paperwork from the United States. Like, that's the only thing that's holding it up. So definitely, if you guys want to know, you're going to have to just follow me and I'll let you know, because I'm really not sure yet. But definitely already met the entire family. He's already trying to go to the United States to meet my family. And I'm over here like, I don't want to go back to the United States if I don't have to.
Yeah. So somebody said, agree with Danny. Thanks for being you and for being an inspiration. We love
you guys.
Yeah, we love that you have love. And y'all, so listen, I do have to tell y'all this. So whenever they were on the boat and Geraldine would be live and we would be seeing her, and of course the same huge smile she has now, she had then, so it was Aziz and one of the other guys, they would come on camera and all the women in the chat would be talking about how fine he was, and nobody knew he was taken. Nobody knew at the time that they were together, but it was really cute. They were all like, "Oh, Aziz is handsome," and da 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 da.
He's cute. He's
cute.
Yeah.
Off the
Girl,
mark.
if you saw him in his like little pink and in his tight little shorts, his booty is so cute, and he'd be working in the engine room and he'd be all sweaty and covered in grease, and I'm like, hello. But to be fair, I fell in love with him before I even before I knew that he was the boat's mechanic, before I knew, he like has his own boat shop, all this stuff. Like he's a sailor and he's a hardcore activist. I fell in love with him from the moment that I met him, from the moment that I saw him. Like our eyes connected, and something inside of me just told me that no other man on the planet mattered.
Aziz from her boat, who's the mechanic on her boat, not the Aziz journalist that we have on the panel. Not that Aziz. Aziz, who's the mechanic on her boat. They're two different people.
His name is Aziz Miliani. Is his name? He's from Dessert in Tunisia.
Right. Got it.
Yeah. And I'm really excited for you to interview him because, I mean, you've heard him speak. He speaks fine. We can understand him, but he's kind of like shy about his English. He thinks he doesn't speak well enough to have an interview. I told him the truth. I was like, listen, you're going to go on camera and none of the women are going to listen to what you're saying anyways. You're just going to be like, damn, he's fine.
But they will listen too, hopefully. Hopefully it will be the fine will be a conduit for the information.
Yeah, I think so. I'm telling you, I'm not going to be surprised if I have some competition. He is cute, like physically, and he's also very cute in his modesty. He's a very modest person, but he's a wonderful person, and I feel like he deserves clout. You know, if anyone does, he deserves the clout. He kept our boat going. For that entire sail, and we wouldn't have made it without him.
We love it. Well, I appreciate you for joining me. We will connect. Let me know whenever they get you scheduled for the SiriusXM stuff. Let me know when all of that happens. That way I can make sure that people tune in and all the things. They're saying thank you, Geraldine, again. Thank you. I really do appreciate you for joining me. Hi, Aziz, back there in the background.
He just texted me too. He's like, "Are you still on the interview? I won't come home until you're done."
That's funny.
He's gonna interrupt me.
Tell him we're done. Tell him come home. But I appreciate
you
very much, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I love you guys so much. And free Palestine and save Gaza.
100%. Love you too. Bye-bye.
Bye. Right. Wow.
So folks, so that's Geraldine. And I hope that was beneficial for you all to be able to hear information, to a firsthand account. I just really thought that it would be beneficial for people to hear from folks on the flotilla exactly what it was like, to hear from someone who was in the Israeli prison, who did not have access to their medication, who saw what it was like, and how, you know, they were treated. I think it's really important too for people in the States to hear how our government didn't show up for our people. One of the reasons why I have this background up here today is because of the rest of the things that we are going to talk about. I think it is incredibly important for people to not blow off the fact that the president of the United States posted a video of him flying a plane that was defecating on the people of this country. I think that I know that people are just like, oh, it was an AI, whatever. I really don't give a shit. If you do not understand, so let me just say this. So if your husband, if your brother, if your parents, if your significant other, if the person that is supposed to be in relationship with you, right, that you are entrusting yourself to, right, if they did this sort of AI thing and it was them shitting on you, right, defecating on you, how would you be feeling about that? And I think that we just pardon things. It's like he has this, people just go, oh, that's just Trump. And people blow off all of the absolutely insane things that he says and that he does. And we have to stop doing that as a country and hold him accountable, because like it or not, and in my case, it is definitely a not, right? He is 100% the president of the United States of America. He is the president, and people need to hold him accountable. Stop saying Trump. Do you know what I wish everybody in the media would do? Is instead of saying Donald Trump said this or Donald Trump did that, I wish that they would start saying the President of the United States. The President of the United States said this today. The President of the United States tweeted this today. The President of the United States did this today. Because I think that would put things in a much more appropriate perspective, and maybe bring some accountability, because that is in fact the position that he is in, right? So stop saying Trump said this. Stop saying that. Say the President of the United States posted a video today of himself flying an aircraft that was defecating on the American people. The President of the United States today, right? No, I'm just saying, the President of the United States. It is so important that we use that title when referring to him, because with that title comes certain expectations. People expect this type of thing from Donald Trump. But people don't expect this behavior from the President of the United States of America. And so this is important. This is the verbiage. Stop calling him orange. Stop calling him whatever. Refer to him as what he is. I'm never offended when people come in and they'll be like, Donald Trump is your president. He's your president too. He's your president too. The reality is he's everyone's president. He's not the president of my choice, but he is the president. Because if I don't acknowledge and accept that fact, then I can't change it. I have to know that he is in fact the President of the United States. I have to know in fact that this is the way the behavior, this is the way the President of the United States is behaving and is acting. Right? We have to know this. And it's important. So we were talking today. I was listening in on Facts Still Matter this morning. I was listening to, he's another TikTok creator. And I was listening in to Facts this morning. And of course they were discussing SNAP and all of that. So South Carolina joined other states yesterday in saying that as of November 1st, there would be no SNAP benefits paid out to families. Okay. So they were talking about this today and the impact that it is going to have on people. And so I had joined the panel for a moment because people were saying things like, make sure that you contact your local food bank. And so I joined the panel to remind people that many food banks in this country were negatively impacted when DOGE made cuts to U.S. aid, right? They were like a lot of our food banks, for example, back home, Second Harvest Food Bank. Remember when 17 trucks didn't make it full of supplies? So we have to remember that. And so somebody was in the comments and said, well, then don't shut the government down. And I said, well, here's what you need to do. So if you don't want the government to be shut down, then you need to contact your Republican senators, right? And tell them that they should care more about people having access to affordable health care. If you don't want the government to be shut down, right, then contact your Republican senators and tell them that they should care that health insurance premiums for their constituents are going to go up by 200 to 350%. If you don't want the government to be shut down. That's the conversation to be had. And it is wild to me that people are willing to overlook the fact that that the country is willing to let people starve, right? to not have access to food because they don't want to give them continued access to health care. If you don't know what that means, like, listen, if you don't know what your GOP senators think of you, this should tell you. They care about you so much, they do not care if you have access to health care, or if you eat, or if you can feed your children. So if you want to know why it appears that many people within the Republican Party don't have compassion, it's because their representatives don't. There's this focus on money and being the best. Listen, I don't care if you're the richest country in the world if you have the poorest population. I don't care if you're the richest country in the world if your children have food insecurity. I don't care if you're the richest country in the world if 80% of your people don't have money. You hear me? I don't care. And neither should anyone else. Well, so Rachel, let me tell you why. Can I share with you all why SNAP wasn't cut in 2018, 2019, when we had the last government shutdown, also under the Trump administration? Let me just share with you why that didn't happen. Hold on. All right. So give me a second. So this is really, really important. So I am going to share, this is from the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities. This article came out 3 days ago, was updated yesterday. So give me a second. I want to share this with you guys. Let me share my screen, okay? Boom, boom, boom. All right. So the Trump administration can and should take available steps to ensure SNAP participants get November food benefits. So Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins has indicated, and the media have reported, that the U.S. Department of Agriculture, the USDA, will run out of funding for SNAP food assistance for November as a result of the government shutdown. This would leave more than 40 million low-income people, about 1 in 8 people in the United States. Listen to that, 1 in 8 people in the United States without the food assistance that they need, including about 16 million children, 8 million older adults, and 4 million people with disabilities. But nearly 2/3 of the funds that are needed for a full month of benefits are available in SNAP's contingency fund. And they must be used when regular funding for SNAP runs short. The administration must release those funds immediately, as SNAP law requires, to ensure families can put food on the table next month. How about that? Did you all know that there is a SNAP contingency fund that the Trump administration has the ability to make available so that people can eat in November? The administration also has discretionary authority, the same discretionary authority it has to transfer funds into WIC earlier this month, or any other available legal authority to augment the SNAP contingency funding to find the full amount for November. So to give you like a little more detail, by law, individuals and families who meet SNAP's eligibility requirements are entitled to the benefits. Despite this requirement, historically, Congress has provided SNAP funding through the annual appropriations process, right? So this approach treats SNAP as what is known as an appropriated entitlement. But and under some legal interpretations, SNAP may have a permanent appropriation under the Food and Nutrition Act that would fund the program during lapses in appropriations. Our analysis here focuses on the administration's obligations if it continues to treat SNAP as an appropriated entitlement as it has to date. So currently, there is no full year appropriation in an appropriation bill for SNAP benefits in fiscal year 2026. So USDA's September 30th, 2025 lapse of funding plan explained that SNAP's October benefits were funded in September out of the fiscal 2025 appropriations. It further explained that, quote, multi-year contingency funds are also available to fund participants in the event that a lapse occurs in the middle of the fiscal year. Now, did you hear what that said? This was a lapse of funding plan that came from the Trump administration that said, quote, multi-year contingency funds are also available to fund participation benefits in the event that a lapse occurs in the middle of the fiscal year, end quote. He did do that in 2018. Now, these quote unquote multi-year contingency funds are $3 billion a year that the 2024 and 2025 appropriation laws each made available for SNAP, and which are still available in fiscal year 2026. The law provides that these amounts, quote, shall be placed in reserve for use only in such amounts and at such times as may become necessary to carry out program operations, end quote. So under USDA's shutdown plan, some of these contingency funds are being used to reimburse states for their federal share of the administrative expenses during the shutdown. So the full $6 billion is not likely to be available for November benefits, but the federal share of state administration expenses is less than $500 million monthly. So even after those costs are paid for October and November, more than $5 billion should remain for SNAP benefits. That is a substantial share of the approximate $8 billion needed for a full month of benefits. You should contact your representatives for this. You should contact press for this. You should contact your local paper for this. So USDA sent a memorandum to states on October 10th, acknowledging that, quote, if the current lapse in appropriations continues, there will be insufficient funds to pay full November SNAP benefits, end quote. The agency also instructed states to hold their November issuance files, the data file that the states typically would send for their ABT card processors in the latter half of October, to list how much each household is authorized to receive in SNAP benefits in November in the state that should be issued. USDA added that they would keep states, quote unquote, apprised with information. Yeah, I'll put it in the, Rachel, I always put it in the link tree. That's where I usually put all of this. And then that automatically populates to the Discord. Suggesting that it understood that contingency funds are available for benefit costs in November. Yeah, no worries. So it is important for people to understand that there's over $5 billion available for SNAP in November. And they have the ability to find the rest in order to allow people to eat. You need to understand that the Trump administration knows this money is available, and they are allowing states to withhold SNAP benefits, and they are not authorizing these contingency funds to be used. No, the government does not need to be open to do that. Nope, it surely does not. It's literally part of a lapse in funding plan that they have. to use these contingency funds. So you need to understand that the President of the United States and the administration is choosing to withhold food from families in order to pressure Democrats to open the government so that those same families won't have access to affordable health care because they won't be able to have their subsidies for the ACA marketplace. While they order a jet for the Department of Homeland Security that costs $170 million, while they pay $250 million for a gold-plated fucking ballroom while demolishing the people's house. Yes, Jody, there is money there. They have admitted to the states that there is money there, but they are telling them to withhold what they would normally send to the processors to access that money, and they are choosing not to use their discretionary authority to find the remaining $2.75 million to subsidize it. While they undercut American farmers because Scott Bessent's friends in Argentina have a lot of money. No, Cam, I haven't done one yet. Girl, I've been moving. But no, this is a fact. The money is there. They used the funds the last time there was a government shutdown. The law says they are supposed to use these funds in order to carry out the operations. That's what the law says. And this is a president and an administration that continually does not follow the law and turns their nose up at it. But it is absolutely important for you to know. So let me tell you a little bit more. Okay, are you ready? The Secretary of Agriculture, under the law, which is 7 USC 2257, has the discretion to transfer funds among USDA's nutrition programs with certain limitations. So that's the authority that they used to transfer $300 million to WIC earlier this month. And that money came from the Child Nutrition Budget Account, which normally funds school meals programs, right? The Child Nutrition Account has carryover funds available from 2025 appropriations. And according to their own shutdown plan, the Office of Management and Budget, hello, Russell Vought, apportionment documents more than $23 billion with a B in transferred appropriations from another USDA account known as Section 32. Permanent law provides that 30% of the prior year's customs duties are deposited into Section 32, a substantial portion of which is transferred to child nutrition each year. So the USDA could use its discretion to transfer whatever amount possible to augment the SNAP contingency funding using the same mechanism that it used to supplement WIC. They have the ability for us to fund SNAP for the month of November. And they are choosing, and this is the part that I need for you to get. The Republican Party and the President of the United States are intentionally withholding food in order to pressure Democrats to the table to sign a bill knowing that your health care subsidies are set to expire. And without that, millions of you are going to be unable to afford your health care. So they are withholding food in an effort, right, to pressure Democrats to the table because they don't want to continue to subsidize your healthcare premiums so that you can go to the damn doctor. I just want you to sit with that for a moment. Now, I don't have to do this, but I'm going to draw a parallel, right? Can we think of another government that is using food as a weapon? Can we think of another government in the world that is currently withholding food and weaponizing food in order to get people to do what they want? Just saying. Absolutely, Israel. And maybe let me say this. Can we think of a country that is supposed to be a democracy? Can we think about countries that are supposed to be democratic countries that are doing this? Correct. The apartheid state of Israel. 100%. And the United States of America. But now Israel they're not starving their own people. They're starving somebody else's. The United States of America is actually going to let their own people go hungry. Israel, at least, isn't withholding food from their folks. They're withholding food from Palestinians. How about that? And Israelis have universal health care. They have free health care. I really want you all to understand this. The President of the United States is choosing an agenda for rich people and an agenda for corporations over feeding American citizens and ensuring that they can have access to health care. The President of the United States is choosing an agenda that is specifically designed for rich people and their corporations over the average working class American citizens, over your children, over their ability to eat, over your ability to take them to the doctor, over the ability for you to take care of them. They are choosing a rich person's agenda over you. If you are not a multimillionaire, they are choosing rich people over you. As if the money in your bank account is what determines your value as a person. When did we become a country? And maybe we always have been, and most of us just didn't know it, where the value of your life, the value of your existence is only determined by the size of your bank account and the size of your company. I want you all to sit with that for a moment. And is that who you are? Let me ask you all that. Is that who you are? Is that who you are as a person? And I'm going to tell you what I also think about this, because I hear a lot of people talking about we need to help each other out. We need to make sure that we can donate to our food banks and all of that. Here's what I'm concerned about. I'm concerned about some of you all virtue signaling in order to not feel so bad about the fact that your vote caused this. I am concerned that some of you will get caught up in your virtue signaling. Oh, look at me. I'm giving to this food bank. I'm giving to this. I'm taking care of these people. I'm doing that. And you will do that in order to avoid the fact that it is your vote or your lack of voting that put us in this situation. Do not use the pain and suffering of other people to assuage your feelings of guilt and shame. I'm going to say that again. Do not use the pain and suffering of other people to make up for the guilt and the shame that you might feel about having put us in this situation, either by who you voted for or by not voting at all. You don't get to stand up and say, oh, look what I did for these people that couldn't eat, if you're part of the reason they can't fucking eat. You do not get to say, look what I did for the people that couldn't eat, when you are part of the reason, where you are complicit in their starvation. This is not difficult to understand. You do understand that that's like an abusive relationship, right? Some of you all will turn around after this happens, right? When they find some little $500 check to give y'all, like right at fucking Christmas, and y'all will be like, oh, look at my great president, the president of the United States and Congress. They just gave us $500 after they took away $400 a month to feed your children for 2 months when they could have. After your health insurance premiums have gone from $350 a month to $1,250 a month. You don't get to beat people down and then be praised because you took them to the doctor. They wouldn't need to go to the damn doctor if you weren't beating them up. We are in an abusive relationship with our government. Y'all are up here like Ike and Tina. He's up here, eat the cake anime, eat the fucking cake. And you're grateful that he's allowing you to sing when it's your talent, it's your song, it's you. Why are you being grateful that they're allowing you to work, allowing you to exist? It is we the people. It's not we the Congress. We don't have documents that say the president of the United States is the whatever is the sole important person in the country. We don't have anything that says that. Our documents say we the people. So why aren't we acting like we the people have the fucking say? I really want people to grasp this about where we are. Okay? Grasp where we are. How many of you all know that most of us have some sort of elections coming up in the next 2 weeks? Some of you guys are having city council elections. Some of you guys are having, your mayoral elections. Some of you all are having your county commissioners elections. They may not be your state representative elections, right? How many of you guys have looked up who's running? And I would be asking those people, if you're running to be mayor of my town, what's your plan for fucking SNAP? If you're running to be on the city council, what's your plan for school lunches? If you're running, right? I want to know. And I want them on the record. The only question that we need to be asking people these days, if they are running for office, right, is, do you value rich people more than the rest of us? There are more of us than there are of them. And let me tell you something, in my personal humble ass opinion, this is going to backfire on them. Because if you take away people's access, okay, and people no longer have their basic needs met, right? What do they need? Why do they need to work 2 or 3 damn jobs? Do you really believe that people are going to continue to work 2 jobs if they can't afford health care, if they can't eat? Do you really believe that people are going to continue to show up while your companies work them to the bone, don't pay them a living wage, much less a thrivable wage, if they can't eat or go to the doctor? Because the answer is going to be fucking no. The answer is going to be no. People are going to be like, well, what do I need to do this for? I'm not even able to do A, B, C, D, X, Y, Z. And don't mess around and let people begin to be able to barter for things again. Don't mess around and let people really start to say, you know what, let's do a community garden. Oh, you can do this thing, I can do this thing. I can do this thing, you can do that thing. Of course, LA Johns. Yeah, of course it is. I know some of them. This is incredibly important, people. Right. Community is rebuilding now. Farmers markets, community gardens. My daughter got me a little, it's an indoor garden thing that has its own like built-in system. Me and the girls got it out so we can do that this weekend. Folks, there are so many things. No, do y'all want me to show you what it is? Hold on, let me show y'all, because y'all know I don't remember the damn name of this thing. Hold on. Hold on. It's called a Hope Garden. It's called a Hope Garden. It's this. Hold on, let me take the background down. This. Do you see it? This is it. And so like we have, so we've got, we can do vegetables, herbs, fruit, flowers, seasoning, whatever. We've got, it came with our packets in it. And then of course we can do other things as well. So, yeah, so this is the plan, right? Is for us to do one of these. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm just saying, folks, listen. No, it is for indoor, Kelsey. It has its own built-in. See these little light things? This is a lighting system up here, and it tells you how high or low it should be. And it's made for indoors. It's called a little smart garden. It's intelligent planter, grow fresh food all year round. So yeah, and so there's a plug at the back, and there's like that does water drainage and all the things. Yeah, hydroponic. Yeah, my oldest daughter got it for me. So so the kids and I got it out so that now that we're in a place where we have space for it, appreciate you, Sandy. We can put it up there and plant our stuff. So I just listen, there's so much that I wanted to talk about today that I know that I'm not going to get to because I had Geraldine on for about 30 minutes longer than I originally planned to, which is fine because I think that it was important information. Oh yeah, they will so love it, Kelsey. They will so love it. And so but there are things that I do want to talk about. I do want us to talk about healthcare and premiums and what it's going to look like. I do want us to talk about food insecurity and all of those types of things. I do want us to talk about the president of the United States and the things that they are saying. And Dominic's is almost up. I was doing it right before I went live. You can hear the additional space. Yeah. So what I'm probably going to do for, it was a gift, Merlot. Lawrence Danecki is the painter and he's incredible. But what I probably will do is I'll probably go into, yep, it has it just like the bed. What I'm probably going to do is for subscribers, like once I get everything all set up and whatever, I'll probably like do a little show for you guys, hopefully by Saturday or Sunday. Before I open up the panel, I do want to talk about some things. So I don't know if you all saw or not, but the West Bank, the Israeli parliament made a vote saying that they are going to that Israel is going to annex the West Bank. And J.D. Vance said that he took it as a personal insult because the position of the United States of America is that Israel will not annex the West Bank. So this is another bone of contingency that happened today. And I want to talk some more about that. I don't want people to, it's important that we balance all the things that we talk about, right? We have to talk about SNAP benefits in the United States of America. We have to talk about healthcare and access to healthcare in the United States of America. We have to talk about the elections that are coming up in 2 weeks, right? We have to continue to talk about all of those things, right? Bethlehem is in the West Bank if people are having a hard time placing it. We have to talk about housing costs, right? And what that looks like for many people. I think it's important for us to find our wins where we can find them. One of the things that I was happy to see was Jack Smith come out with his receipts when a bunch of GOP senators were talking about the government spying on them and tapping their phones and all of that. And he was like, no, that is not what happened. That is not what happened, right? They requested call logs, which people do all the time. It doesn't tell you the content of the information. It just shows the calls. Yeah, Manuka, I would be asking, so if they are running for state office, local office, I would be asking them what are their plans for SNAP benefits, for Medicaid. I would be asking them what are their contingency plans to ensure that people have access to health care, that people, that children and the elderly are able to eat. What are their views about rent and things like that? I would be asking them about their position when it comes to, you know, the top 1% and the working class, how they feel about corporations and the tax incentives that they get. Because here's the thing: many corporations, many athletic stadiums, those people that get those special deals and they have those tax incentives and all of that stuff, very few of them actually end up living up to the commitment that they agreed to in order to get those breaks and those benefits. But by that time, nobody cares, right? You're welcome, Manuka. And so one of the things that I really hope everybody walks away from here with. So the healthcare premium stuff I already put in my link tree, right? So that's already there. This article with regard to SNAP benefits and the fact that there is over $5 billion in the SNAP contingency fund that the president of the United States and his administration could make available to feed American citizens in November. Every single one of you should leave this live talking about that. Every single one of you should leave this live screaming it from the rooftops that they are withholding food in order to leverage. They are using food as leverage to try to make Democrats agree to something that will ensure that you all can't afford health care. Right? This is incredibly important that people understand. They are choosing to not feed us. It's no SNAP for the month of November for many, many states already. Okay. And so I think it's really important. Yeah. Yep. I'm going to put it in the, appreciate you, Sandy. I'm going to put it in the link tree now so that you guys can have access to the article. The other thing that I love about this article is it actually includes the links to the lapse of funding plan that the Trump administration put out itself. You're very welcome, Sherry. I love the fact that you are still here. I saw you follow me on Facebook too. And so I appreciate you. I really do. And so guys, when you go, so by the way, they took down this page that they referenced in this article. When you go to the USDA's page, they literally took down the page that they linked to that had their lapse of funding plan. They took it down. It now says page not found. It now says page not found. And then there's a thing and it says, due to the radical left Democrat shutdown, this government website will not be updated during the funding phase. President Trump has made it clear he wants to keep the government open and support those who feed, fuel, and clothe the American people. Guys, this is not part of the administration. The United States of America represents like our administration, our government represents all fucking people, all citizens. The USDA website, Kat. This is the USDA government website. Hold on. Y'all want to see what I'm talking about? I got you. So hold on. Let me show you. And let me share my screen over here so y'all can see it as well. There it is. I'm at USDA.gov. Now, and I'm going to show you what I did was, see how it says the September 30th lapse of funding plan? I clicked this link. And when I clicked the link, that's where it went. They took the page down. Good morning, Hiba. It is important that people understand that they are putting these things all over government websites They want airports to play a recording saying that it's Democrats' fault, and a bunch of them has said no. We are not going to do that. We are not going to play a recording because of the Hatch Act. So I want people to understand that this is not. Yeah, you're welcome. Okay. Yeah, but here's my thing: is it was up there on September 30th. Why is it not there now? And where is it? So, like, if I want to see what the plan is for a shutdown for the USDA, where's the plan? Because it was on your website and you took it down. So where can I find it? So now you have to hope that somebody else downloaded it to make it happen, right? It should be, folks, listen. Ha! I found it. It's on somebody else's website. Yeah, yeah, it's recorded. Oh, I already found it. I found it. I found it. Okay, so hold on a second. Yeah, I found it, and I'm gonna put it in the link tree as well. So listen, here's what it says. Oh, hold on, I'm gonna show it to you. I'm gonna show it to you so you can see it. Let me flip my camera. I'm gonna show you guys too over here. All right, so this is, I just want to show you all, this is the document, right? This is the lapse of funding plan, right? And right here. So Supplemental Assistance Nutrition Program, that's SNAP. OMB, which is the Office of Management and Budget, General Counsel, provided a letter to USDA on May the 23rd, 2025, stating that there is a bona fide need to obligate benefits for October, the first month of the fiscal year, during or prior to the month of September, thereby guaranteeing that benefit funds are available for program operations, even in the event of a government shutdown at the beginning of a fiscal year. In addition, listen to this, in addition, congressional intent is evident that SNAP's operations should continue since the program has been provided with multi-year contingency funds that can be used for state administrative expenses to ensure that the state can also continue operations during a federal government shutdown. These multi-year contingency funds are also available to fund participant benefits in the event that a lapse occurs in the middle of a fiscal year. To fulfill this congressional intent, it is necessary that a limited number of FNS employees be accepted from furlough to support program operations. These activities include, but are not limited to, program policy and operations, financial management, and stakeholder communications. The money is there. There is a multi-year contingency fund that can be used to ensure that there are SNAP benefits for American citizens in November. And we know that there's at least $5 billion of the $8 billion that is needed. So I'm just telling you that there is discretionary authority that the President of the United States and his administration has to ensure that families in the United States of America can have access to food in the month of November. You're welcome, Kat. So it's really, really, really important that people know that. It doesn't say, so Bufani, here's the thing. We know that there's $5 billion of $8 billion that come from this specific administrative fee, like contingency thing. Okay. And thanks, Brandy. And on top of that, they have the discretion to pull from different USDA programs for these types of what should be mandatory benefit programs. So they have the discretionary authority to not only use the contingency funds that are already there, but to also pull funds from other places to ensure that SNAP gets paid. And they did it to do WIC. So we know that they can do it because they just did. It is so important that you understand something. Democratic senators should not have to choose whether people can eat or whether they can access their health care. Democratic senators should say, absolutely not. I am not going to choose whether my constituents get to eat or whether my constituents can afford health care. Because we can put together a resolution, we can put together legislation and a resolution that ensures that they can do both. And if I were a member of Congress right now, that's what I would be telling people. I would be telling my constituents that I refuse to choose whether they can eat or whether they can go to the doctor. I refuse to choose whether they get to feed their children or get their medication. I refuse to choose that. I'm going to require that the members of this body come in here and do the job they were elected to do for the people. I'm going to require my colleagues to do the job that American citizens elected them to do. That's the messaging. I am not going to choose. I am not going to choose whether or not my people get to feed themselves or whether they get to get medication or go to the doctor. I'm not doing that because I believe in the greatest country in the world. They should be able to do both. And I believe that Congress has an obligation to the people to ensure that they can do both. If we can buy a $170 million plane, damn it, we can feed our children. That's it. That's a hard stop. And I don't want to hear shit else. So, like I said, let me put both of these two documents in the link tree. For those of you who are asking, yes, I downloaded this document, so I now have it. Okay, I have it as well on my computer. It's not going anywhere. So food banks are running extremely short because of the cuts that they made to USAID. Right? I do, Jamie. I have a hard stop at 2:10 actually. So give me 1 second. Let me put these links in here. And then I'm going to start to open the panel. And I want to say this, okay? And I need for people to hear me when I say this. There are people that do not know if they are going to be able to feed their children in the United States of America because they do not know if they are going to get their benefits. There are people that will go without eating to feed their children if the United States of America doesn't fix this issue. So while I know and I support helping our folks. I cannot say this enough. Please do not feel pressured to gift if you do not have it. If you do not have it, do not gift. Do not give more than you have. If you do not know for sure that it is okay to recharge your coins on TikTok, do not do so. If you can, I would love for you to. If you cannot, do not. And there is no judgment at all. I really need for everyone to understand me when I say this. People are at different places. And I do not, what? No, there's no, what the fuck are you talking about? There is no digital product. I don't know what that's doing. That's not a digital product. I don't know what this is doing. Delete. I don't know what it was doing. Yeah, listen, folks, because this community has done a lot, that people do come here looking for help. And I understand that. I also want you to understand that there is no pressure if you do not have it to give. I mean that with every fiber of my being, folks. We can only help people if we are around to do so. That includes this platform. That includes you all as subscribers and followers. Our ability to help other people is related to our ability to be here and have a successful platform and to have healthy families and to all of those things. So I really, truly want you to hear me when I say that I really want you all to understand that, okay? It's really important. I know that so many of you, if you had it, you would give to everybody that came up here. I know that. I would too. It's why you're part of this community, because we are built the same, right? People that are subscribers to me, I know who you are. You're my people. And I know that you would give like just if you had it to just give. I need for you to understand though, you cannot help anyone else if you do not take care of you first. So if you have it, great. If you do not, you just do not. And that is okay. All right. We are going to rebuild this platform and continue to grow in our rankings the same way that we were a year ago. I'm in a bigger space now. I've got new stuff to get set up. We're about to rock this shit out. And I mean, rock it out. We're about to be Monday through Friday, probably 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. every single day. Some days 9 a.m. to 2. Okay. And all the things. Okay. These are all the things that are about to happen. I got y'all. I know y'all hear this one over here about to overheat. I got a new laptop, going to get it set up so I can get all the platforms going. We are about to kind of level things up. And no, I'm not worried about anything else, because here's what I know. We will be okay. This community, we are going to take care of each other. Hello, Raja. That's my friend. So I just want you all to really understand that and not put undue pressure on yourself. If you have it, do it. If you don't, it's okay. Lisa, you wanted to give an announcement?
Holla,
Hello, Raja.
I was waiting for that. Yeah, so I want to say two things. Hi, Raja. Hello. So I just want to say two things. One, it's very telling.
Hello, Danny.
Hello.
Hi. Hello, everybody. That is very telling.
How are you,
what
Danny?
Trump
How are you?
and Republicans are saying is they're saying, yeah, we know that Democrats are the only ones that care about people. These old compassionate Democrats, look at them go. So worried about people eating, so worried about people getting paid, so worried about their health. Like they are in living color, and people need to take notice.
100%.
They're literally admitting it, like right in front of everybody, constantly, every day on the news. And I'm like, look, I was like, they really don't care. Who knows who they like? They really don't.
No.
They really don't. They could care less.
No.
Number two, I would just like to remind everybody about the Daniken's Fund auction that's taking place right now. It's going to go for the next week and a half still. Hi, everybody. It's okay. I know there's a delay and they don't.
Yeah.
So the auction link is in my link tree in my bio. It's also at the top of Danny's Discord server. If you have any questions or whatever, you can just, message me or whatever on TikTok or on the Discord, and I'd be happy to help you. Yes, please come and check out the auction. We have some really, really great stuff. We have like a skincare haul that's worth like $700, and gift cards and jewelry and crystals and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, I have stuff that I need to add, and I will get them to Lisa today. I do have things that are going in my auction that are actually for my Palestinian friends and my folks that are in Gaza. And so
I'll put a note on those.
Yeah, so there's going to be a note on those so that people know anything that does from there. Hey, Wadmi, that it will go to those folks. So I just really want everyone to know that. Yeah, so that you know what's happening. I love and appreciate absolutely all of you all. This is a tremendous community. This is an incredible. I could not. Ooh, I'm gonna get emotional. Sorry. I would not be able to do what I do, even like for my grandbabies, without the community that we have. We have an incredible community, and my heart is so grateful to all of you. And it's not just about whether you could donate or not donate, or whether you could gift or not gift. It's not about that. It's just about the fact that we always show up, and the desire is always there to do good. The desire is there to help. The energy is there to be there for each other. And that is so incredibly important. Because that is going to be the thing that grows and builds and spreads. And it's going to be that connection, and it's going to be that compassion, and it's going to be that authenticity and that vulnerability that brings this country together. It really and truly is. It's going to be that thing that makes people see our friends in Gaza and our friends in the West Bank as the incredible human beings that they are. It's going to be that thing that makes people understand that it is never okay to weaponize food against people. It is never okay to unalive, tens of thousands of people because you want their resources. It is going to be that changes. We are at this time, and I believe this with every fiber of my body. We are at a critical point, not just in the United States of America, but around the globe. We are at a critical point, and this is where we, the people, get to determine who we are and how we show up in this world. And I believe we're going to get there. I really do. I hope we get there fast. I really hope we get there fast. And that part is up to us as well, right? People are hurting, people are suffering, and how long that happens is totally up to us, we the people. I really want you to understand that, folks. Okay.
100%. Well said, sis. Well said.
Yeah. I appreciate you guys. So folks, for you folks that are here on Substack, Facebook, YouTube, all the things, I'm going to shut this down just so I can do what we're doing right now. We've got our friends from Palestine that have joined us on the panel real quick. I'm going to shout with Raja for a second, and Mohammed and Nakmad, and all the folks. Mashallah, Soha. But you guys, this is up. Please share it far and wide. All of the documents that I talked about today are in the link tree. Use them. Talk to people. Share facts, right? Because that's what's going to matter. Now listen, oh my gosh, I have to tell you all this. I heard a quote yesterday and I was like, ooh, that's goodness. So listen to this. Truth without kindness is cruelty. Kindness without truth is manipulation.
Oh,
good, right?
That's really good.
Truth without kindness is cruelty. Kindness without truth is manipulation. So when you are sharing truth with people, are you including kindness? When you are being kind, are you including truth? I heard it yesterday and I was like, oh shit, that's good.
I love that.
Okay. So remember that in your conversations, in your social media posts, in all of your interactions, be kind and be truthful.
Thank you, guys.
You got it? So C said one more time. So truth without kindness is cruelty. Kindness without truth is manipulation. Truth without kindness, cruelty. Kindness without truth, manipulation. Can somebody write it in the chat? Can somebody write it in the chat? Somebody asked if I could write it. Because for my folks that maybe don't understand what I'm saying in Arabic.
Yeah, we should put that on a t-shirt.
100%. 100%.
Yeah, good.
Thank you, Awesam. Truth without kindness is cruelty. Kindness without truth is manipulation. 100%.
All right, you can drop me, Danny. Make room for our Palestinian friends.
I got you. Appreciate you, Lise. All right, so you guys over here, love you, mean it. I will see you all tomorrow. Same time, same place. Peace.